Hello everyone, welcome to this video. My name is T. If you're new here, I really do hope everyone's day is going well. So today we have a special guest. Sister Stuffy Nose is in the building still. You know how the day you decide that your period ends and the day it actually ends is never really on the same day? You just wake up one day and you're like, listen, I've had enough. If I want freedom, I have to take it. Harriet Tubman took it. That's how I feel about this little code. Like, oh my gosh, what more do you want from me? We already done off the Robitussin bottle. The Vicks jar is empty. You're done. So I'm fine, I swear. I just need to get back on my business, which brings us to today. So, Halle Bailey, best known by me as one half of the sensational pop R&B musical sisterly duo Chloe and Halle, also as Sky on Grownish, and one time for Lil Tiffany on House of Pain. I'm really just trying to emphasize that she's a new star to y'all, not me. And best known by the global mainstream as Ariel in the live-action remake of The Little Mermaid, is seemingly pregnant. I say seemingly because she hasn't yet confirmed it, but in this house we like to be fucking for real, so yeah. Seemingly pregnant, presumably by her boyfriend, rapper and streamer DDG, and for whatever reason, y'all are taking that personally. Now, I think the reason why people are taking issue with the thought of Halle being pregnant boils down to three reasons, and they're so simple. I'm saying them in the intro. They're not even gonna get a dedicated chapter. That's how, listen. So 3 reasons. 1, classism. 2, hypergamous ideals / traditionalism, which, well, those are microcosms of classism. So okay, scratch it. I guess it's just 2 reasons, even easier. Okay, classism and baby mama bias. You see, if DDG were a billionaire instead of a dreadhead chain wearing rapper, I think people's attitudes would be different. If they were married, I think people's attitudes would be different. If Halle were white, oh, I really think. But when you silence all the rah-rah and you simplify people's concern down to the blunt question of what about this grown woman's life and circumstances makes you, a stranger, deem her unfit to be having a child, that's what it boils down to. Now, aside from this being so entitled and well otada, these biases are masqueraded by some pretty solid talking points. I'll give y'all that. People are noticing a trend of famous black women reaching the peaks of their careers and then magically winding up pregnant by men who are less famous, less wealthy, or just don't have the same amount of potential or opportunity as them. And it almost makes you want to ask, like, this nigga trapping you? No, seriously, are these men recognizing your potential and in response, reproductively tethering themselves to you before you can realize that you kind of out of their league? Because it's not just Halle. Look at Cardi. We are talking her debut album had just come out. This was a #1 album, a record-breaking album, an album that eventually went on to win a Grammy. And then boom, pregnant. We can bring it to sports and say Naomi Osaka. We hadn't seen consistent talent and record-breaking like that probably since Serena. And right when she had secured the #1 spot, boom, pregnant. Keke Palmer was finally dead set in the center of the spotlight. Star of a blockbuster film. Finally getting the praise and celebration that she had been deserving of for at least the past decade. And then boom, pregnant. Mona Leo, pregnant. Sexy Red, pregnant. The trend is trending. And the conversation of potential reproductive manipulation by men certainly deserves to have its day somewhere else. But today, another thing that we can be more honest about is our role in this. Yes, us, we, as pop culture consumers, and many of us commentators. How we treat black women in the entertainment industry who become pregnant, especially at the peaks of their careers. You know, honestly, the worst of it happens post-pregnancy. The lack of care, the condescension, the judgment, the unwritten and unspoken rules that are meant to be adhered to sneakily appears as it relates to peak of career pregnancy. Chapter 1, by fire or force. video is actually an expansion of one of my most recent Patreon exclusives. I did a pop culture roundup where I talked about Halle and peak of career pregnancy. I talked about Jada Pinkett Smith and misogynoir and how that is y'all's jam. That is y'all's butter pecan ice cream for real. It's classic, it's intergenerational, and y'all ain't letting it go. Anyway, I also talked about Georgia Smith and counter-effective allyship. Really like that chapter. And I finished it off with Top Boy and how everything is Drake's fault. Just in case you wanted to check it out, you know I gotta plug my own. So the thing about the Halle portion was I had 0 notes on it. It was 100% a freestyle, but the realizations was just pouring out of me like water. That's how I knew a dedicated YouTube video was underway. One of the things I said that really gut punched me when I went back to edit was pregnancy does not get a pause button. When you take a significant time off of work, because something transformative is happening in your life, especially when that thing involves your health. Ideally, by the time you return to the workplace, there is cushion there to help you ease back into things. If you break a leg, that's how it works. If you undergo surgery, that's how it works. If you have a psychotic break, that is how it works. But when it comes to pregnancy, especially in the entertainment industry, specifically when it happens at the peak of a Black woman's career. Not only is she denied cushion to slowly ease back into where she was, but she's not even allowed the grace of a pause button to simply pick back up where she left off. She has to come back harder, better, faster, stronger. So no pause button. Instead, the performer is expected to embark on a sort of redemption era, almost with tones of apology. I know today's focus is Black women in entertainment, but I couldn't pass up the almost perfect example of how hypercapitalism and consumer entitlement betrays women when they return to the workforce after pregnancy. I noticed it in this most recent season of Selling Sunset, and I came across a creator named Panic Mixie Dream Girl who posted this amazing take on it. Take a look.
The first example I want to talk about is Brie, who gets a lot of flack from Jason and Brett this season for having a slow start and not selling that many properties, even though she just came back to work 6 weeks postpartum.
Oh, I just feel like because you guys don't have kids, like you just don't get it. I literally haven't slept in months.
I'm not minimizing that. When we brought you on, the expectation was that we would be doing deals like this house right here. There are hundreds of people that apply to this small little boutique brokerage on Sunset, and we take a handful of people every year.
So 2 things are happening in that clip. First, Brie is pointing out the inequity of it all, that she's expected to come back to work and perform just as well, if not better than before, even though she just had a baby and needs time to recover. She's also making a plea for humanity and empathy from her employers to understand that she has these unique circumstances that they should cater to. But notice how Jason responds to this, and he literally could not be a more perfect example of the textbook neoliberal ideologue. He starts by saying, "I'm not minimizing your struggles as a mother," and then proceeds to disregard them. But he also emphasizes just how exclusive an opportunity it is to work for him. But here he is demonstrating a very core tenet of neoliberalism, which is indifference to human uniqueness and the reduction of someone's life and subjectivity to just how much output that they can produce. He's also pushing this narrative heavily that just getting a seat at the table at the O Group is a privilege in and of itself, which is a classic capitalist tactic to appeal to workers' sense of individual exceptionalism in order to pacify their concerns and make them feel lucky for getting the chance to suffer for the capitalist gain.
I really wanted to include this because although this is a pop culture centered video, this is obviously a systemic problem. It goes way deeper than our desire to keep women in a constant state of performance. This is a blatant disregard of human rights as soon as it steps in the way of hypercapitalism and/or consumerism. And honestly, this video topic is an opportunity for greater human compassion that I really don't want to pass up. So all the women I'll be discussing today have had their fair share of being passively punished and attacked after pregnancy, but they still stand in a position of privilege in that they were able to, presumably, they were all able to have their babies under safe circumstances. However, in these times, in these genocidal days, there are pregnant people who are having to give birth in fear and with little medical attention, who have to have cesareans performed without anesthesia, who have fresh wounds and are catching infections. This is happening right now on the same earth that we all inhabit. So while I hope that everyone walks away from this video advocating for better treatment of mothers in entertainment, We also need to have that same fire on our tongues for women and people living under occupation, bombardment, and are having their human rights violated. So use your voice, employ your resources, and please don't forget them. She's meant to not only compensate for the time that was stolen from the consumer in her absence, but also prove to us why this baby is not a burden. And the first marker of that is her visibility. Cardi is an excellent example of this. Let me start with this. When Cardi first announced her pregnancy, the relief on the lady's face was almost tangible, but that was immediately met with pessimism and judgment, both internally.
It was just like, how am I gonna tell my team? How am I gonna tell the label? It was kind of scary because there's like the certain people that I even thought that was gonna like support me and be like, listen, we could do this. Like real optimistic people were like,
and externally. People would say things like, oh wow, you worked so hard to get you and your family out the hood. And as soon as you get to the top, what do? Become a baby mama. By a rapper at that, his fourth baby mama at that. You have ruined your career before it really even started, and you did it to yourself. And that was only amplified when she had to pull out of touring with Bruno Mars because her baby was gonna be too young and she wasn't gonna be ready physically. Now, as a means of redemption, aside from continuing to work through her pregnancy, she gave birth in July of 2018, and she returned with a performance in October. She gave birth in July, August, September, October is when she returned with a performance. It was at the 2018 AMAs, easily the best, most interactive, most colorful, most dynamic performance of the night. People were dancing, people were singing, people were riding bikes on stage. Cardi B has always been a great performer, but it was something about this performance that was clearly meant to make a statement. It's no coincidence why this, even to this day, stands as one of the greatest performances of Cardi's career. She had something to prove. Because when it comes to earning the public's approval of a woman postpartum, she can't just be back. She has to be better. That entire performance was a reminder of who Cardi B was when we first met her, child-free, and a declaration of who she would continue to be, even as a mother. Colorful, loud, high energy, sexy. Chow that leg. We were only about a minute and some change into the performance when Cardi kicks her leg up and stretches it towards her ear. A move like that, it's so impressive and it requires so much flexibility, and its suggestive nature reminds us almost immediately that by fire or force, Cardi B was not about to allow motherhood to prudify her. When female performers return after giving birth, their sexuality has to be pushed to the forefront, oftentimes in very assertive ways. Otherwise, we will deny them sexual attention forever. Chapter 2, the MILF Madness. Let's start with Beyonce. I know, I cannot keep that lady's name out my motherfucking mouth. I know. If only she would just use that same energy of liberation and power to the people that she's been profiting off of for at least the past 5 years and stand in solidarity with an African nation or beyond that is experiencing genocide instead of using this time to promote her perfume. If only. Anyway, Beyonce has always been a sex symbol, but if you was outside, like really outside, to experience the public image of Beyonce pre-pregnancy, then you know. Her sexuality, her sex appeal was very much in the Betty Boop kind of way. You know, very much in the Marilyn Monroe above the subway grade. Was that my skirt that just flew up like that? Oh, you know? But yeah, she had her first child, and then the self-titled album came out, and that is when she said, fuck the bullshit, and showed us the bare cheeks. Oh yes, Then and there, we saw, you know what? I'm not gonna, the partition video is up on YouTube right now if you wanna watch. I think it was the connection of both. The culture was already prepped and primed for that kind of imagery. You know, while overt sexuality may have been a big step and a new thing for her, by 2013, there was more than enough space in pop culture for a woman to be overtly sexual. Beyonce didn't come up with anything new with that, but for her first time to be as a mother, okay. So it's that in connection with, had we, as consumers, remember, we don't want to get into whoopings today. Had we seen any opening to desexualize her, I think we would have took it and ran. Beyonce has played a really, really big role in the contemporary culture, no longer detaching a woman's sexuality from her the second she becomes a mother. But the reason we do that can be related to the Madonna whore complex. You know, the age-old dichotomy that deems a woman either pure and innocent and respectable, or a sex-having harlot hussy, no in-between. Of course, this reinforces misogynistic values as it falsely classifies which type of women deserve respect and which do not. And this is all at the judgment call of cisgender heterosexual men who are getting their dick anyway. Oh, I'm not saying nothing new. But additionally, in a roundabout way, come around with me, it reinforces misogyny because the female performer then has to make sexuality a statement as a means of convincing. Obviously, as a performer, sexuality gets performed. Like that's the whole shtick. But convincing? Persuading us of your sexuality? I don't know. I do not know. Now, I don't want to imply that when we see women being more sexual post-pregnancy, it is for the sole reason of resisting desexualization. I do believe that there is truth in a woman feeling embodied after becoming a mother. But also, studies do show that women experience a significant drop in libido after giving birth. So to have to perform sexuality for an audience while feeling so disconnected from that in their personal lives, I'm sure it's no easy feat. Analyze Beyonce or any female performer's sexuality post-pregnancy. I'm just saying that while we are enjoying the bare cheeks, while we are enjoying the hair flipping and the neck whipping and the back arching in the partition dance break, and then using that to deliberate if this woman still deserves to relish in her own sexuality just because she had a baby. We should also consider the level of compartmentalization it takes to deliver something like that to us at a time like that. Being a MILF is not easy. But yes, there's another but. There's always another but. That's why I have a job. The MILF complex is not, or the MILF fetish is probably a better word to say. It isn't available to everybody. You can't just be like, yeah, I had a baby, but I still think I'm sexy and I'm still having sex, so you should still think I'm sexy too. No. Phoebe Egoroff, I tried my best, contends in her Vice article that erotic attraction to mothers specifically, aka the MILF fetish, is rooted in the thrill of being sexually attracted to someone who is not socially revered as a sexual being. Yeah, okay. The default for mothers is desexualization, but they get a pass if, and only if, it reflects favorably on the desirability scale. And by my observation, that can only be achieved in one of two ways. One, if there is either no sign that a body has produced a child, take for example Kehlani or Victoria Monet, they had small toned frames before they gave birth, they have small toned frames now, or the visible changes to said body are placed in, here come the alliteration, are placed and portioned perfectly enough to satiate modern standards of beauty. God. You see, it's all good that Kiki had her baby. It's all good that Mona Leo had her baby. It's all good that Beyonce had twins. They are carrying pregnancy PR. I saw that in a tweet one time. I saw a tweet once that said they are carrying pregnancy PR. Why? Because the titties got bigger, the hips got wider, the ass got fatter, the thighs got thicker. Pregnancy PR and all them other praises ain't being sung to the vast majority of women who, after they give birth, they have loose skin on their stomachs, invisible stretch marks, and sagging breasts. They are not awarded the MILF title. Okay, let's turn the page. Your pregnancy can alter your strength levels, affecting things as simple as how you walk, making it difficult to walk in shoes like heels. Nikki, admittedly, does not wear heels as much since giving birth to her child. These are things that could naturally occur from pregnancy, but it's almost like it is treated as if those things happen, especially to a woman in the public eye, she did the pregnancy wrong. But if the former happened and we saw the desirable advantage, then she did the pregnancy right. And now she's carrying pregnancy PR. Now she is walking marketing for why other people should get pregnant. It's just so unfair because the pregnant person has absolutely no jurisdiction over that. But based on how we react, based on how pop culture celebrates the desirable advantage, we act as if she was just some chosen one, which is exactly what I mentioned in my natural beauty hysteria video. I just love when my videos go like this. They're all connected. We have to stop upholding the belief that these celebrities, who most certainly, I ain't saying with my chest in that video, but who most certainly have to intervene or manipulate, be it by extreme dieting or exercise or surgery, in order to present us with a postpartum body that we will approve of. We gotta stop believing that instead of intervention, instead of manipulation, they just chosen. Her advantage is just divinity, and that's something humans can't touch. We have to stop believing that. Not just because it's unfair, but because it's unfucking true. This, along with an array of other reasons, is exactly why when it comes to biologically producing a child, y'all got it? No pregnancy? Take it. You can have it. It's yours. Let's get a little personal. For at least the past 10 years, so we talking since I'm still in high school, I have had no desire to be pregnant. Now, am I honest enough with myself to admit that I don't want to risk my body changing in unfavorable ways, mostly because I'm vain, but even if I wasn't, because I don't want to be perceived by a society that is so cruel and unforgiving? Yes. Yes, I am. But that's only this much of it. Chapter 3, count me the fuck out. It's a hard pass for me on pregnancy, and that's just that. But truly, I'm only like 30%, if that, in consideration of becoming a mother, like at all. And the vast majority of my aversion is based on how the world treats motherhood, how the world treats children. My most radical take, I mean the take that divides whatever room I'm in every single time I say it, and y'all know I got a number of radical takes under my belt. But the one that shakes the table the most is when I say, the world hates children. The world hates children. Y'all like babies, for sure. But once a child leaves the womb, the collective human regard for its life decreases exponentially by the year, sometimes by the month. There's so much protection of fetuses, even when they exist only in theory. But when we get to, let's say, the 3rd trimester of a pregnancy, sometimes earlier, the amount of care extended to the birth giver suddenly depends on their race and their gender and their sexuality and their socioeconomic status. Huh? Then the baby is born and sufficient parental leave has to be fought for. 6 weeks? 6 weeks of parental leave? American workforce, do you hear yourself? And then the adoption system is twisted. The foster care system is twisted. Then it's time for the picnic then for go to school. Oh Lord, it's time for the kids to go to school. And let's hope these children know what to do in the event of a lockdown, if you know what I mean. There's no justice for children at school. There's no justice for children at home. In their homes, there is no justice for children. Ooh, we split in the room. Voices, thoughts, wants, needs of children are completely disregarded because it's almost customary to devalue the desires of adolescents. Okay, I just have a quick interjection, if that's all right with everyone. Usually this would just be an audio only interjection, but you see what the fuck going on. Like, you see what's happening. Everything is just right sitting together. I cannot believe. I walked past the mirror and I was like, this is the best I've ever looked. And I mean ever. From the face to the liner to the ring to the jewelry. You see this, the initial pendant, the T stands for terrible, because that's how I'm doing them. All right, anyway. Wanted to come in and really just be clear about the position that I'm speaking from. When I talk about oh my gosh, it's snowing. Focus. When I talk about the negative things that children experience in the household, I'm not speaking from a position of knowing what that feels like. My passion about this topic and my extremely strong sense of justice for children comes from, I grew up in a household where my parents instilled so much confidence in me, and they were constantly validating my actions, my ideas, and some of them were very stupid. I was a kid, what can I say? But they were always respected. As I further into adulthood, one of the heartbreaks that I continue to run into is when I'm getting to know someone, they start to tell me about their childhood, and I learn that I come from a place of privilege to have had parents who, though they were older than me and bigger than me and my authority figures, still respected me as a person. I come from a place of privilege to have known unconditional love every single day of my life. And that breaks my heart because I feel like that is just the starting point that every child needs and deserves to even have a fighting chance in this world. And to learn that not everyone gets that, oh my gosh. Like, it makes me emotional because it's just not fair. So I just wanted to be clear about my position of understanding and the gaps in my understanding, because I know what I'm saying is very additionally, I still respect the sanctity. I still respect the organization of parenthood. Absolutely. Even though I'm still I may not become one myself, I still respect it. I still think it's a great and beautiful thing. Additionally, I'm nearing that age where my peers and friends and people around me, they are either have a baby on the way, or they surely want kids one day, or they're actively trying something of the sort. And I respect that, and I love that, and great for y'all. This is a me and me thing that I'm sharing with everyone, not necessarily here's why you shouldn't, or here's why you should. That's a completely different conversation that I don't know if I even care to touch that. Teenagehood, as I'll discuss in just a second, is a little bit different though. It was a little bit different for me personally, because I feel like teenagehood is when we really start to come into our own as people. And that's when the sort of, the static and the intergenerational or intragenerational disconnects between you and your parents begin to manifest in full flesh. So that's a little bit different. But as far as childhood goes, my parents knocked it out the motherfucking park. And having had what I had, that's one of the main reasons that leave me in the position of thought that I am in. Hope that helps. It probably made it even more complicated, but here we are. And the same goes for teenagers. Sometimes even worse. Teenagers are not protected by any means. Sometimes I just be thinking to myself, and I'm like, damn. So many of us, myself included, are walking around with so much obvious resentment for how invisible we felt as teenagers. Some of us spend years of our adulthood essentially trying to get our leg back and essentially using the access and the little respect we have earned since turning 18, 19 or whatever to fill in those gaps that existed when we were teenagers, when the world really should have been listening to us. In a possibly upcoming video, it's already up on Patreon. Done, no, it's already up on Patreon. I talk about teenagehood erasure, especially for young girls, and how we don't even get a pause button before we are thrusted into the jaws of womanhood, where we will be chewed up and spat out for the rest of our days. And then we get to adulthood. Oh, you thought the suffering was over? Then we get to adulthood, and I only have one thing to say about it because I'm brand new to this bitch myself. Take a look at the world we're living in. No matter when you're watching this video, take a look at the world we are living in. And you tell me what the general regard for human life looks like across the globe. So believe me when I say, y'all got it. Whew-wee. Thank you all so much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end of the video. You know, the comment section for the people who actually did make it this far is gonna be so funny. Because I don't think y'all have ever heard me this. It's not pessimistic, because there's a lot of realism in what I just said. But I know the video started one way and now it's ending in a completely different way, but what can I say? This is where my mind took me when I was thinking about this topic and writing this video. And then I got to this part and I was like, damn, I really feel this way. I need to say it. Stop being a little bitch, just say it. So I said it. Be kinder to mothers, be kinder to female performers, be kinder to children, be kinder to each other, and leave Halle Bailey the fuck alone. Whew, I really got a lot of this video. I think it might be the earmuffs, Loki. Listen, I had to put on these earmuffs today. I had to add a little bit of color because it quite literally feels like a hospital in here. Like, I am so sorry that I had to subject you to such a bland and colorless viewing experience. So I had to do something. I had to add some color. You know I can't live without it. Shout out to my lovely, amazing, beautiful patrons. You can hit me up at patreon.com/tinoir if you want exclusive and extended videos, including an extended version of this one right here. Yes, there's an even longer version of this here video up on Patreon right now. So if you want to interact with me behind a paywall and further support me and this channel, that's where you can do that at. Be sure to leave your thoughts and your comments down below. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Subscribe for more content, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.